on the text. So here is Alan Partridge. Alan Partridge, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Richard. Very pleased to be on your show. It's great to see some of the youngsters breaking through in broadcasting.
Good, thank you very much. What a nice compliment.
Oh, welcome.
We're going to talk about your book. It's called I, Partridge, We Need to Talk About Alan. And it's actually... sorry?
No, I was just agreeing with you. That is the title.
Okay, good, thank you. You don't need to agree with me when I state a fact.
Okay, fair dues.
It's your second autobiography. The first one was called Bouncing Back. And if I'm not mistaken, it was pulped.
You are not mistaken, but pulping isn't the end of the world, Richard.
Well, it is for the book.
No, it isn't. Take a look at biscuits. Not now, but take a look at biscuits when you get the opportunity. If you pulp a packet of biscuits, you haven't lost some biscuits. You've gained the base of a cheesecake. I mean, that's an anecdotal thing for you to ruminate on. Besides which, it was going on to an exciting new life as recycled paper. I remember one particular unkind reviewer said he wouldn't wipe his arse with it. Well, if he buys his toilet roll from Tesco's, he may well have done. In that respect, particularly, I had the last laugh.
Now, you've worked with a number of people and you've parted on bad terms with many of them.
Yeah.
Do you think that you're a hard person to get along with?
I think the truth is I'm actually very easy to get along with. I mean, you and I have been chatting here. We chatted outside. There was no exchange of blows.
Went fine.
Exactly. I would say the truth is, when people say that to me, I go, who the hell are they talking about? Because it sure as heck ain't me. I'm so chilled off, it's not true. In fact, it is true, so, ignore that. But, I mean, people say to me, how can you be so relaxed, Al? Do you smoke doobies for breakfast?
Do you?
No, of course not. A, it's illegal. B, I don't like them. But I reply, no. I have 6 hash browns, a couple of fried eggs, ladle of baked beans, half a pint of apple juice, maybe a full pint if I've slept with my mouth open. On rare occasions, if I've been for a run, for example, I may, top things up with a quick jam sandwich. For those listeners tuning in from abroad, jam is basically a sugary fruit paste.
Of course it is. So you're not hard to get along with. So would you then say that you have, Alan, many friends?
Yeah, I would. Only last month I was on holiday with Eamon Holmes.
Really?
Yeah. We went to NY. That's New York, by the way. We were there during the 9/11 anniversary. We went to Ground Zero for the service of remembrance. And we stood in silence among the many New Yorkers. Eamon was eating a cheeseburger, but he was doing it very quietly for him. I have to say I've never seen a man eat a burger with as much reverence for the occasion.
Sounds quite touching.
Well, it was. It was obviously a bit of a downer. So to cheer ourselves up, we all went to a lap dancing club. Met a fascinating young lady called Sugar. I don't think that was a real name, unless she was Sir Alan's daughter. Mind you, she was no apprentice. She was a bloody magician.
He's an interesting fella, Eamon Holmes. Do you get on well with him?
Oh, absolutely. He's marvellous company, although he does get very bad-tempered if he hasn't had a feed. But these days I've just learnt to carry a power bar.
Thank you for that insight into Eamon Holmes. Do you, in the book, you deal, Alan, I think it's fair to say, very frankly with your problems with Toblerone addiction and then your subsequent weight loss. How, in the end, did you lose the weight?
I just exercised, Richard. One day I lost 5 pounds, although it was partly because I'd eaten some bad ham. And I just thought, well, whatever works, After that, I used to seek out bad ham. I go into supermarkets and say, "Can I have a pound of your baddest ham?" And I don't mean bad in a black street culture kind of way. I mean genuinely awful ham.
That's it. You also talk very openly about your relationships. you had an overseas girlfriend at one point.
Yes, I did.
Tell me about her. What was her name again?
Sonia, very good friend of mine, had a stunning Ukrainian girlfriend, and he arranged similar girlfriends for 6 or 7 of us, and mine was probably the second best. We got on brilliantly, by the way. She was very adventurous when it came to lovemaking. I remember one time we got home drunk. I crashed out, but she must have had her way with me while I slept, because I woke up the next day and I had ligature marks on my wrists and carpet burns on my quads. And rudimentary forensics suggested to me that it must have involved her dragging me around the floor at some speed. I reconstructed it, just to be sure, by getting my assistant to drag me around, which she managed to do with surprising ease, because she's very strong and has a low centre of gravity. I
mean, bear in mind that we're on mid-afternoon radio here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Are you a fan of 5 Live?
I love 5 Live. I don't know why it's not digital.
Well, it's digital.
Is it?
It's medium wave and it's on both.
And FM?
It's not on FM.
Oh.
You're not together with Sonia. You've described in detail there. You're not together anymore, are you?
No, it didn't work out, Richard, as these things often don't with Eastern European women. But I do still see her regularly.
Oh, do you? You're friends, are you?
No, she's my cleaner.
You also describe in the book a period in your life when you lived for many months in a hotel, and you talk about developing something called kettle cuisine. What is kettle cuisine?
Well, kettle cuisine. Well, as a long-term guest, I didn't always need to eat in the restaurant. Don't forget that every room has a mini kettle. That instantly opened the door to everything from copper soups to pot noodles. And combine the kettle with the refrigerated minibar, and wallop, you've got yourself jelly.
Of course.
At one point I smuggled a microwave into my room, but I got rumbled when passing hotel staff kept hearing the ping. Or ding, if you will. I tried to claim I wasn't using the microwave to prepare food, but they refused to believe that I only had one there to speed dry, hand-washed undergarments. So, you win some, you lose some.
Were you happy in that hotel?
Oh, Richard, happiness is a man... would you ask... it's a difficult question to answer. Ask a man who has survived a month in a boat cut adrift in the Pacific Ocean before he's found. Ask him, is he happy? Was he happy in that boat? And you won't get a straight answer.
One story that stood out to me in the book was your wedding day. You were married to Carol. You're no longer together.
No.
And you express your concerns about
we're no longer together, but we remain on unpleasant terms.
You express your concerns about there being no disability access to the church.
Well, Carol and I were married at a little village in the Norfolk village of Caister St Edmund. We'd been to visit the previous summer and had both fallen madly in love with the place. Carol for its pretty graveyard, its cherry blossom, its old world charm, me for ample parking and easy access to Junction 5 off the A47. But one of the drawbacks was that it lacked wheelchair access, primarily because it was built in the 12th century.
And some of your guests were wheelchair bound?
No, but just to put this in perspective, I don't want people to denigrate the church for its lack of wheelchair access. The 12th century, wheelchair access was very low on the agenda. In fact, for people with special needs, the 12th century, they had a long way to go in their treatment of people with mobility issues. They would have been just banished to the outskirts of town, in fact unceremoniously dumped beyond the perimeter wall, and they would have had no chance of accessing the town. They wouldn't have required a wall, just any kind of ridge, any kind of step or ridge. Well, in short, anything that can prevent a Dalek can prevent a wheelchair. That's the easiest way to think about it. That's the thing about wheelchair access. It doesn't distinguish between Davros or Stephen Hawking.
Right.
Mind you, from 400 yards, I'm not sure I could.
Let's get past that point. Just describe the day itself for your wedding. What was that like?
Richard, it was a wonderful day. There was a few clouds, scattered showers, with intermittent sunshine, a high of 12, a low of 8. medium pollen count, but
I don't actually need the weather forecast for the day of your wedding in the 1990s or whenever it was.
Okay, well, okay, fair enough. Although I stand by the weather summation for the day. Carol looked wonderful. She was clad in a very pleasant white dress with her lace veil glistening in the sunlight like some sort of semi-transparent burqa. She really did look 1,000 dinars.
We all remember your chat show on BBC television. We're speaking now, Alan, at BBC TV Centre, inside TV Centre. I think that's where your show was made, isn't it? Is it good to be back at TV Centre?
Whew, there's a question, Richard. There is a question.
What's the answer to it?
Well, the foo, that would be part of it. It's a strange feeling. I have been back here, I mean, in case anyone hasn't. I mean, I used to come back over the years occasionally. On a couple of occasions I came on guided tours. Just to keep myself in the shop window, before I realised that, that I didn't really have a plan. I mean, I realised I couldn't whistle or wave from the back of a herd of pensioners. It would have looked, I'll be honest, it would have looked a bit desperate. And so I abandoned that. Great tours, though. Really, really good tours.
You've written in the book about the last time that you were here prior to the tour. You were told you weren't going to be returning to do a chat show, and in the book you claim that you had a contract but that it wasn't honoured by the BBC. What do you remember about that day?
Here are the facts. I had a contract signed by the BBC's Director of Programmes, Chris Feather. Yes, he died soon afterwards, and yes, there were no witnesses to the agreement. But as I've explained time and time again, the only reason his signature looked so different is because he'd accidentally slammed his hand in a car door after losing his temper at a car boot sale in Leatherhead when after he counted up the day's takings, he realised he'd not even covered his petrol costs, primarily because he damaged his most valuable item, a soda stream, in transit and failed to sell it. I mean, do you think I make something like that up?
It's not for me to say, is it? It's not my job as an interviewer to say.
No, and I don't really want you to answer it. I mean, that's a rhetorical question.
Okay. Would you return if the BBC were to make you?
The answer is I wouldn't make something like that up. But sorry.
Well, I thought you said it was rhetorical. Why have you answered it?
Because.
Do you understand the format of a rhetorical question?
Yes, but in case some of your more challenged listeners fail to understand the nature of rhetoric, I just thought I'd seal that in an envelope and post it in the inbox of their brain.
You had killed a man, by the way. When you say you'd got this contract, you killed a man in the final episode of your TV channel.
The restaurant critic Forbes McAllister. That's correct.
Right, dead. Does that still haunt you?
Haunt is a very powerful word. Niggle with an L-E. Yes, it does niggle me, but not haunt. People who are haunted lie awake at night. Niggles just distract during the day. And I can say, let me explain what happened. He'd given me his new dueling pistol, as I politely inspected them, one went off and the bullet penetrated and destroyed his aortic valve on live television, and as with so many gunshot wounds to the heart, it proved fatal. An hour later, I'm in Paddington Green police station with a bad-breathed copper shouting questions in my face, along with the pungent odour of Walker's smoky bacon, which I usually quite enjoy. And I kept saying, please, can I go home? I'm doing a store opening at 10 for World of Leather, and the copper said, the only thing you'll be in tomorrow is a world of trouble. A line that, even at the time I thought was pretty good for someone who probably didn't have any A levels.
I would argue that's deeply offensive to the family of Forbes McAllister.
It didn't bother his family because they didn't like him. So when he died, they weren't totally sad. And that's the simple explanation. I later I was found guilty of unauthorised use of a firearm, dusted. But Richard, I always say there were two victims that day.
Who were they?
Well, me, because of course of everything I went through, but also Forbes McAllister is also a victim in a way because of course he died.
If the